Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we're on the website of Amati Auctions based in the UK. We're going to have a look at their latest sale, which is bowed stringed musical instruments and associated kind of bits and pieces. And this is one of their affordable sales, which is the kind of lower tier sales. And this is actually an interesting one because it's a double sale. It's happening on the 27th and 28th of November. It's the 22nd today, so you've got a week or so left to go. But yeah, this is a double 2-day sale, 383 lots, so a lot of stuff going on. To those of you that are new to this channel, basically we just go through auction catalogues of musical instrument auctions. Could be anything, but we do look at a lot of bowed string stuff at the moment, as that's what I tend to know most about. So yeah, we're going to blitz through the catalogue, see if there's anything interesting. We're not going to spend too much time on it because there's a bit too many lots, and yeah, see if there's anything worth looking at in more detail. Important things to note: check all the terms and conditions if you are looking to bid. If you haven't bid on an auction before, then read up on things. Always worth kind of knowing what the situation is. Buyer's premium is 22%, so the buyer's premium you have to pay on top of the final hammer price. So whatever you say, if you bid and you won one of these instruments, you would have to add 22% of that price, plus there'd be some VAT and other charges on top of that. So do bear that in mind. You need to give yourself a bit of leeway on the price that you bid for these auctions. Like I said, this is a UK based auction, so if you're outside of the UK, somewhere else in the world, bear in mind shipping charges, import, export, all of that kind of fun extra stuff that you have to pay. Other than that, just to say, if you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing, like, comment, turn on notifications, all of that stuff, because it really does help quite a lot. So without further ado, I think we'll just crack on and see if there's anything interesting, because otherwise we will be here quite a while. I've zoomed out a little bit because for some reason it just never really fits particularly well on my computer. But let's see. Starting off with lot 1, a cello. So with the Amati auctions, they have this funky 360 viewer thing. I'm not sure if the internet is a bit kind of funny at the moment. This is kind of on my side, I think, rather than the Amati side. My internet has been acting a bit weird, but for whatever reason the 360 viewer is not currently working, but you can see the pictures. Oh, here it is. It's loaded up, so it's quite interesting actually to see this. I really wish that they would do the scroll. It's only the body, and at the moment it's been the body for quite a while, but it is interesting to see that. Other than that, you can kind of check measurements and things here. Obviously they've got the estimate. Everything in this auction starts at 10 to 20. Current bid 230. Condition report as well. Now this is an interesting cello. It is essentially covered in worm everywhere, which is absolute madness. Could be one of the worst kind of cases of woodworm that I've seen. I think looking at these pictures, it is absolutely mental. The cello itself looks like some kind of bonkers German thing with really square shoulders or bouts. Not 100% sure on that, but that would be my suspicion. You can see all of this. Some of these are cracks, but all of this kind of worm in the centre. But where it's really apparent, I think, is on the back. All of these little holes here, everything, that's all worm. Absolutely mad. Like an instrument like this, I think I would be, well, I mean, I wouldn't want to try and even attempt to do the restoration. Maybe it'd be something to put on the wall or something interesting, but I'd want to make sure that all of this kind of worm is gone. It's showing actually quite a nice scroll, interesting looking scroll there, but you can see even there in the scroll, look, all of these holes everywhere, absolutely full. I don't know where this was, must have been left somewhere, like in a barn or a garage or something. It's absolutely eaten away, so that's a real nightmare problem to have. But for some reason, £230 people have bid on it already, so well, good luck to them, that's all I can say. Otherwise we're going to kind of blitz through this a bit quicker. A lot of this stuff is going to be generic kind of trade stuff, so we don't need to get into it too much. Cello unlabelled there. Actually quite a nice back on that. It's kind of fairly interesting. Big kind of crack there. Let's see what the scroll looks like actually. Yeah, a bit of an oddball kind of one. Lot of previous repairs, a bit of woodworm, but nothing like the other one, and some replaced bits. Always worth looking at these condition reports. 3/4 size cello there. Half size cello. Also, just to say, I think the way that they've split this auction is basically in half in the 2 days. So they've split kind of the cellos, the violas, the violins. There's some bows, there's some books. It's all kind of split in two. But we're going to blitz through all of it. I was thinking about doing 2 videos, but I thought then, no, let's just kind of get on with it and just get it out of the way. Viola, okay, so not many cellos then. Onto a viola unlabelled, 250 on that already. Looks like quite nice. I assume it's just a kind of German viola, probably kind of 1850s, something like that, I would think. 380, length of back's fairly small, but nice enough. So you wonder what the condition report is. Yeah, not too bad. A few kind of bits. Once again, worm. You find worm is very common on older instruments, but yeah, that cello at the beginning, wow, that was really something else. Viola labelled Boozian Hawks. Okay. Interesting. It looks like it's got a Romberg or something on that, like you get on some of the cellos, this kind of angle, with some of the violas had that as well. Nothing super exciting there. Viola unlabelled, 160 current bid on that. Almost looks kind of tradey, or maybe kind of amateur made, hard to say. Right, a viola body labelled Button and Whitaker, back length 395. This is quite interesting actually. It's just the body. Let's see if we can. Yeah, the internet is just really not friendly today, and I do not know why. Not too bad on the condition report. Kind of interesting. Looking back. Front detached. Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting, quite nice, really funky F-holes there. I think it's a curiosity. Be interesting to know how much that kind of goes for there. Mandolin there, Francesco Peretta, Naples. Let's have a look at that. It's a bit of a random one. Okay, so this is like a better quality of mandolin. This is like a kind of a vaulted back that you get on some of these Neapolitan mandolins. So I mean, it doesn't look too exciting from the front, but quite a nice back on it. So definitely worth 30 quid. So I'm sure that will sell for 100 or so. Interesting. We've got a nickel mounted cello bow branded Nicholas Duchenne there. I think a lot of this will go past. I don't know why the internet is acting so bizarre at the moment, which is really kind of not particularly helpful. Silver mounted cello bow branded Paul Mongenot. Okay, interesting. A Baroque cello viol bow branded P.L. Davis. Let's have a look at that. Quite nice, bit of fluting there. Current bid, £80. Yeah, I mean, a decent Baroque bow like that will probably cost you upwards of £1,000 these days. So, yeah, it looks nice enough. Let's see what the condition report says. Good preservation. Okay. Nickel mounted cello bow. I think I'm just going to skip through some of these. Yeah, I'm not kind of massively going in on bows these days. Oh, that's interesting. Almost looks like a bit of a knot or something that's kind of come out of the stick. That's a weird choice of stick there. Where? Okay. Interesting. Silver mounted cello bow branded Victor Fitique, Paris. That's quite nice. Silver mounted cello bow branded Morozon. Interesting to see the condition report on that, 140. Good condition. That'll sell quite well, whatever it is. nickel mounted violin viola bow. Okay, just keep going for now, and unfortunately this internet thing is just really not helpful, and I do not know why this is happening, so we might have to just pause and go back another time if this is going to be ongoing, because we can't go through the whole auction like this. So let's see what we can do here. Well, that's brought the image up there, but I'm just not entirely sure what is happening at the moment. 3/4 bow there. Right, we seem to have got some more internet back now. A few violin bows there. So we're only on lot 27 out of 300 and whatever it is, so it's going to be an interesting auction. Silver mounted violin bow, unbranded. A viol bow. Again, we're struggling on the pictures there. Comments reasonable. Interesting. Right, this is one of those kind of, I suppose, that kind of like 70s-ish kind of viol bows that you get. Not particularly kind of nice or refined. Silver mounted viola bow, branded HR Frechner there. Coat of arms there. Interesting. Let's see what the condition report is on that. Repair to head, yeah, so something's gone on there. Actually, otherwise, kind of an interesting looking bow. Right, a viol bow, branded Conrad Gotts. Once again, this looks quite a clunky, kind of older style of viol bow. Nicer than the other one that we looked at earlier, but not wonderful. Silver mounted violin bow, branded D.I. Newton. Interesting fit there. Looks a little bit rough around the edges. Nickel mounted viola bow, branded HR Frechner again. The one with the coat of arms, that doesn't look quite as interesting as the other one. I thought there's a lot of general bows here. Silver mounted violin bow, branded J.E. Vickers. You do see a lot of J.E. Vickers kind of bows and violas and other instruments floating around, so I think it churned out quite a lot of stuff. It's all kind of not super exciting. Okay, it's a nickel mounted violin bow here by J.E. Vickers. Yes, a lot of stuff's not quite as refined as you'd probably want to see. Nickel mounted cello bow, branded Alfred Knoll. I think solid kind of bows these, nothing flashy or anything, but good for a student or something. Silver mounted violin bow, branded Dodd. Have a quick look at the condition report on that. A few repaired cracks. Another bow branded Dodd there. I think we'll just keep going for now, otherwise we're going to end up this being a 2-hour video and no one wants that. Silver mounted violin bow, unbranded. An interesting head on that. Otherwise this needs a fair amount of TLC there. Silver mounted violin bow, unbranded. That almost to me looks like maybe a modern kind of Chinese bow or something. That bow looked like it was in a bit of a state. Some bow bundles. I think we're just okay. 2 violin bows, one Baroque and one modern. It looks like a fairly basic kind of Baroque bow and some kind of cheap kind of 19th century bow, I suppose, like later 19th century or something. Right, we're on to violins. So this is the affordable auction, so it's not going to be anything super exciting there. This is fairly interesting, this violin. It's had a pretty horrible repair there at the back. But kind of curious, quite like that scroll, neck graft on that as well. It's obviously in a pretty bad condition, and that's had a bit of worm intrusion, as they say. So a lot of this stuff is fairly generic. We can kind of whiz through, I think. If we see anything super interesting, we'll stop. Right, violin labelled Carlo Giuseppe Odone, 140 on that. This is quite interesting, just looking at this, the F holes. See this quite deep fluting here. It's actually very neatly made instrument. The outline F hole cut, it's all actually quite neat. Kind of interesting looking varnish. Just overall looks like quite a neatly made instrument. Scroll maybe not quite so refined, but the cut of these F holes is really nice. So it's an interesting one. Good condition, so this will just sell well anyway, just because it's in good condition. 356 length the back, so it's all friendly. A lot of this is just different trade stuff, different shapes and sizes of trade stuff. Violin labelled Antonius Stradivarius. That I think is also just a slightly higher grade of trade instrument. Well, actually it says Gebruder Wolf. Yeah, probably is like a Wolf Brothers kind of instrument. It looks quite nice from the front, but fairly standard. Yeah, some of this stuff is fairly uninspiring, to be honest. We're in need of a bit of a repair. Violin signed internally, Andrea Corsi, Rome. Well, slightly more interesting than some of the other stuff, not quite so much on the back. Yeah, not sure about that. Frechner. Let's see, fairly standard stuff here. Some of it may well be interesting and worth looking at more. If you're looking at the catalogue, spend a bit of time, look at everything, look at the 360s. We're just kind of blitzing through. Is one of the Stentor violins there. We're just blitzing through as quickly as we can, really. Let's see if we can spot anything. Right, this is actually interesting, this violin. And I have looked at this catalogue once before. This violin doesn't look very interesting from the front, but it is a lot more interesting from the back, actually. Looks like it's had a lot of kind of repairs, varnish repairs, so it's looking a little bit worse for wear. Interesting scroll. But it's the back here, it's quite interesting. And just having a look at the general outline, I think this is a fairly interesting violin. Needs obviously some kind of repairs and TLC and stuff like that, but I think that is curious. 255 length the back, so definitely interesting. A lot of this stuff here is just, I think, fairly standard trade things, nothing much to see. I think even here we're just looking at different grades of trade instrument. But some of these could be good, could be useful for students, you know, cheap kind of instruments. But a lot of this stuff needs work. So this sale is the lower tier stuff. This is stuff that's either just trade instruments or needs repair, or, you know, it's just unknown kind of provenance. But I'm not sure how many super fantastic stuff will be in this particular auction, but yeah, take your time and go through the catalogue, and you never know. Interesting back on that. So another manufactured in Berlin, but some kind of trade one. Violin labelled JTL, so it's probably kind of low tier, kind of French there. But this stuff will sell, and you know, French instruments are useful to some people. Violin labelled Martin Hammond, Gypsy Hill, London 2012, so not too long. Well, definitely looking at the outline here, it looks like a kind of an amateur kind of build there, looking at the corner work and the purfling, so that could be a perfectly serviceable instrument. An interesting scroll there in good condition, so why not? If you can get it for cheap enough, give it a go. I'm all for kind of amateur stuff. Violin labelled Neuner and Hornsteiner. So this is quite nice. See, this is what I think possibly that other violin was that we looked at. I think that is another Neuner and Hornsteiner, but a bit nicer, at least the back is. But the front of this one is better kind of condition. But I think that's what that other violin was. And these can be pretty decent instruments, the Neuner and Hornsteiner stuff. Definitely worth a bit of investment. It can be pretty good kind of student instruments, I'd say. But yeah, a lot of this stuff is really not particularly thrilling. So we're seeing a lot of trade bits here. But we're at least part way into the auction at this point, so that's good, making progress. So yeah, Excelsior, another kind of German import stuff here. Violin unlabelled, got 90 on that, also has slightly interesting outline on that, and varnish as well looks slightly different, so it could be some kind of amateur thing as well. Violin labelled M Suzuki, so it looks like we've got one of the Japanese violins here. Another violin with a illegible label. Just looks like fairly standard trade stuff. Maestro Strings, 1995. Just looks like a very generic trade violin, probably either Romania or kind of China, something like that. So we're marching on a bit here. Violin unlabelled, neck detached from body. If we can get the internet working. Let's see what the scroll looks like at the side, or is it gonna say no? It's saying no to any more images for some reason. We're just in a unhappy internet day today. I don't know why it's doing that, but yeah, it's back. Needs a bit of a refresh, it seems. An electric violin there, branded Yamaha. Interesting. Small violin. 3 violins, varying sizes. Ooh. It's not wanting us to have a look at those. Looks fairly generic there. 4 violins, varying sizes. Let's see. That looks like standard trade stuff there. Yep. Okay, that's slightly more interesting. But otherwise, fairly generic grouping of instruments there. Right, we're on to some books. Benjamin Banks, yeah. Piemonte makers there. The standard Stradivari forms. Pilastri. Venetian instruments. Cesar Candy. Renata Scolavecchia in the School of Parma. Marassi. Luteria in Toscana. Okay, all the standard stuff here. Dictionary of British Violin and Bowmakers. In miniature, not only joking, it's because the internet is scrambled at the moment for whatever reason. Some 2 books about, oh right, okay, Luthier's Craft in Gorizia. Interesting. That's curious. Oh, Pelazon family. Oh, could be quite interesting actually. Interested in the Pelazon family. This is right on the border with Slovenia, so it's interesting. How to make a violin bow. Right. Hill maker book there. Some Miracle Luthier books. Italian makers. Jalovec. More encyclopedias. Classic monograph collection. Dictionary of violin bow makers. Couple of Vori de Andrea Amati. Pajot. £80 on that. Late Cremonese makers. Dimitri Gundin. Really should try and read that book at some point. Cooper Collection Volume 1. Cooper Collection Volume 2. 4 Centuries of Violin Making. Fine instruments from the Sotheby's Archive. Gaetano Scarabotto there. L'Archette. Bose. Tort Le Jeune. Luthiers Francais. Carlo Bergonzi. Tuscan Messi. Ollie Ball. Magini there. Ansaldo Poggi. Luteria Italiana. Lots of different ones there. Viola. GB Guadagnini. Wow, lots of books here. Six Stradivari. Modern violin making. Oh, the Hill book again. Okay, British violin. Interesting. Italian and French makers. Volumes 1, 2, and 3 by Just Thone. I was probably pronouncing that wrong. 180. That'll sell quite well, I think. Chimay Collection of Fine Violins. I actually quite like to look at this book because they have a crazy collection, and when you go on their website you don't really get to see much of what they have, so that would be interesting to see that. Antonio Stradivari. Right, cases, Jaeger. They're good cases but a bit outdated these days. Goa case. Hill case. Gorge. These ones always sell kind of well. Another Gorge case there. Double violin case brand Orley. Okay. Another Gorge. Yeah, they just always sell well. Bow case there. Okay, so it looks like we've looped round to day 2 now. 28th of November. So that is kind of good. Let's see if there's anything interesting in this part of the sale. Okay, cello. Right, remember this. This, I think, is actually one of the nicest instruments in this entire sale, other than it's in fairly bad condition. Massive bass bar crack there, which is unfortunate, but quite nice back. I think the scroll on this is a bit weird. I think someone's had a go at just making a replacement scroll for that. No condition report on that. But yeah, quite a nice cello, other than this kind of massive problematic bass bar crack. Actually try and see if I can zoom in, see if there's a... Not sure if there might be a sound post crack as well, but shame. Was a nice looking cello, needs a bit of work for sure. Cello unlabelled. Child's cello. Okay, not actually that many cellos in this sale. Looking at them, I thought there was more, but anyway. Onto some violas here. Viola labelled G.E. Rowland. Great Yarmouth. That definitely looks like an amateur kind of build there. But like I said, nothing against amateurs. The viola here. Okay. Viola unlabelled. I'll just keep going on. Right, some bows, so not many violas there. Gunter A. Paulus branded bow. Actually looks fairly interesting. 70 on that. Tips missing, but that's easily fixed. Silver mounted cello bow, unbranded. Okay. Silver mounted cello bow, branded Emile Houchard. Okay. Silver mounted cello bow, branded Picat. Okay, that's kind of an interesting bow. Missing. Okay, interesting. Let's see that on the picture. Yeah, something happened there. Kind of interesting looking bow. So a few cello bows floating about. cello bow there. Lamy, Hopf, that was popular. Unbranded. So yeah, definitely some opportunities. Not so many cellos, but definitely some cello bows. Cello bow stick unbranded. Okay. Nickel mounted cello bow. Some violin bows here. Let's see if there's any particularly interesting ones. Otherwise, we'll just kind of go. Ah, okay. It's one of these Lawrence Cocker bows, split cane bows. So basically, we talk about these a lot because they come up in auction. So this is, yeah, kind of bamboo cane, I think. And then it's just basically spliced a Pernambuco head on them, but made a lot of these bows, and you can buy them pretty cheaply. I think they're kind of okay. I've never actually tried one before, but I think they're okay, and you see them a lot. They definitely churned out quite a lot of them. It's kind of an early attempt at sustainability that didn't really take off, but you might well see it appear again at some point. Okay. We're getting into the giving up on processing pictures time again, so we might need to do a bit of a refresh again. I'm not 100% sure exactly why the internet is being so bad today, but it really is not happy. Nickel mounted violin bow branded Dodd. A silver mounted viola bow branded Jazz Tubbs. Nickel mounted violin bow branded Lupo there. We're only seeing part of the picture there. Yeah, it's the bows it seems to struggle on. It seems to be okay with the instruments. I don't know why that is. It's quite strange. Silver mounted violin bow branded N. Labert. Looks like it's got a big head repair there. Let's see what it says yet on the condition report. Pinned head. But you know, some of these repaired bows, it's a cheap way to get a bow, and if the repair's good, you know, the bow will behave, and you don't need to worry about breaking your bow, and you know, you'll get a good bow for a cheap price. So I'm not against buying kind of repaired bows personally. Gold mounted violin bow branded PC. Mount's probably not original. Okay. So there's a few interesting things here. I think at some point we'll be back onto instruments, hopefully. Silver mounted violin bow branded HR Frechner. Wow, another one, yeah, with the kind of coat of arms as well. A lot of Frechner kind of branded bows, and I think a lot of them are fairly believable. You do get kind of ones that are not correct, but got okay, a carbon fibre violin bow branded Arcus M3. Interesting. 130 bid on that. Silver mounted violin bow branded ACHM. That's another one, looks like it's had a big hit to the head. Repair to head. Interesting, they haven't marked it on the condition report there, but curious. A few more bows here. Silver mounted violin bow branded Jean Fritsch of Paris. Nickel mounted violin bow branded C. Bazar. Right, random bundles of bows that we're not going to go into at the moment, partly because I can't be bothered, to be honest, but sometimes you can find interesting stuff in these bow bundles, but like I said, I'm not kind of massively into that as well. Okay, yeah, starting off actually on this first lot, kind of fairly interesting. It needs big sunpost cracks, a few other cracks there, but that kind of back is kind of fairly nice actually. Nice piece of wood. Scroll graph there, 30 bid on that. Let's have a look at the size, 358. It's not too bad. Actually, let's have a look at the condition report. You can see there's a big soundpost crack there. Yep. Okay, carry on. Violin labelled Gav Giuseppe Rossi. Okay, interesting back there on that one. £50 bid on that's kind of curious. Let's see what the length of back is on that 355. Okay, interesting. Let's have a quick look at the 360 viewer as well. Or is this not gonna load up? Wow, we're really struggling, aren't we, at the moment with this internet thing? I do not know. Right, well, let's abandon that for now because we don't want to be there forever. But right, violin Hawks and Sons, the Tyrolese violin. That's one of their models that they were doing. Let's see, label H Clotel. Looks like fairly standard. Violin labelled John Betts. Looks like your standard 19th century stuff. Small violin. Small violin. It's all fairly standard. Violin labelled Justin Gilbert. Let's see if we can get any images out of this machine. Okay. That's kind of interesting looking. Definitely curious purfling work on that. So yeah, I could believe that that is what it's claiming to be. Some generic stuff here. Violin labelled E Pilanenti. Not sure about this. Once again, we're fighting the demons of the internet that just do not want to work anymore. So it's really slightly frustrating. Violin Elec Sandor, 20 on that. Interesting F-hole cuts there. Violin labelled Sebastian Klotz. Like I said, there's a lot of the stuff is fairly generic here. Regat Rubus, these are these kind of rounded instruments. You can see it from the 360 view. There's so many of these. They're just made in Germany, sometimes with kind of Russian labels. They say kind of Petersburg, St. Petersburg, but I mean, maybe some originally were made in Russia, but the majority of them are straight out of some kind of German workshop. Violin unlabelled. Yeah, interesting back on that as well. A lot of this stuff is fairly kind of generic looking. Quite nice back on that. Let's have a look what the length of the back is on that. 354, that's not too bad. Again, we're getting into bad internet problems there. Let's see what else we've got here. It's like fairly stuff. Looks like a slightly wonky looking thing, this one. That's a bit bizarre. Okay, interesting. A lot of trade stuff. hopefully something slightly more interesting. Okay, this looks fairly curious. £30 bid on that so far. So a lot of this very generic. Violin labelled Harvey L. Dealey. Yeah, that definitely looks like a kind of amateur thing. Wolverhampton. Number 4, 1981. There you go. I think that's... wouldn't argue with that at all. A lot of stuff here. Violin labelled Leon Mugino. Violin labelled Johann Christian Ficker. This one's a slightly oddball one as well. Kind of curious though. This is fairly interesting. Violin unlabelled. It's in a fairly bad state. Okay. It's a curious kind of repair on that one. Looks like it's lost a lot of its varnish on that one. Yeah, curious that one. Violin labelled Adolf Fretschner. Yeah, and also it's kind of lost a lot of its varnish. Just have a quick look at the scroll there. Violin labelled John Hamilton Stonehouse. That's quite nice actually. 1874. It's unfortunately got quite a bit of worm, but yeah, that's kind of I quite like that. Actually, what size was that? Have a quick look. 358, it's not too bad. Violin unlabelled, current bid 10. Curious, slightly wonky F-holes on that. Oh, really nice back though. That's kind of quite nice. The work's not too bad, but it's kind of interesting. That's curious, kind of like brass or something in the eye. Yeah, slightly odd looking thing. That's had a bit of a funny life as well. Violin labelled repaired by James Hardy. Okay, that's a pretty bizarre scroll. Violin labelled Johann George Vogler or Vogler. Looks like it's been stripped a bit of varnish on the back of that. Right, this is definitely a kind of bonkers amateur thing, if ever I saw one. Really nice back though. That's pretty cool. Cool back. Shame about the kind of the F holes on that. It's a bit too wonky for my liking. Violin labelled John File. Yeah, also another kind of amateurs. It's amazing how much amateur stuff there is out there, and some of them they just go a little bit too far from the norm to be viable, unfortunately. Unlabelled John Walter Skinner. Once again, Sheffield number 13. It's just some of these I just feel they're just a little bit too far away from the normal kind of quality making to really be that useful. That's just my opinion. Copy of Allard Strad by Norman W. Screeton. Now that one might be kind of okay. Looks fairly reasonable in its kind of proportions. Violin labelled Schweitzer. So there's all these kind of German 19th century copies. Not that the internet wants us to look at any of these for whatever reason. It's gone into full meltdown mode now. But yeah, it just looks like a fairly generic instrument there. Violin labelled illegibly. That's kind of interesting back on that. It's possibly one worth looking at a bit in person. See what the length of back is. 353. Okay, curious. See if this loads up. Yeah, it might be one that's worth looking at in person. Electric violin, unbranded. Some more generic kind of stuff there. Violin labelled Nicholas Galliano. Just looks like some kind of low budget French thing or something like that. Right, 4 violins, varying sizes. So we've got some bargain buckets of violins there. That's kind of fairly interesting, that one, but otherwise another generic helping of instruments. Again, that's kind of a little bit more interesting than some. And I think the rest looks fairly generic there. Oh, more. Another set of 4 violins. I think nothing super exciting here. Right, on to books. Hill Bowmakers there. Fernando Garamberti. Luteria Moderna in Emilia Romagna. That'd be an interesting book to see. Marty Kirkin, Violin and Bows. Beckett Collection. Violin. German makers. Retford. Book. Violin makers Hungary. Great Russian collection. That'd be interesting. Masterpiece of Italian violin making. Luteria Italiana in Argentina. Interesting. On Tees. Guarneri. Fusina Lands. Okay. Interesting. Oh, we're losing this internet again. Caprice Bows, tribute to Paganini, Art of Bow Making. I've got that book. It's actually not particularly useful in some regards, because it's all about kind of manufacturing using machines. But anyway, rant over. L'Arche, volumes 1, 2 and 3, £1,100 on this already by Bernard Millant and Rafa. That is one of the go-to books on French bows. Stradivari in Japan. Okay. Lots of books on different master makers there. Whole kind of grouping of books there. We're getting slowly closer to the end of this auction. Fine Instruments and Bows. Luteria Cremonese Contemporary. If we can ever get pictures. Guadagnini family. How many Strads? Yeah. German and Austrian. Piemonte region. Violin makers of the Low Countries would also be an interesting book. Luthiers Espanols. Interesting. Violin makers of the United States, which I think is good book. Tello Bignami, violin maker in Bologna. Celeste Ferrotti. Renato Scolovezza in the School of Parma. I think we saw one of these in the other part of the auction. Bologna, masterpieces of violin making. Stefano Scarampella, J.B. Viome, Italian violin makers. Okay, Guarneri family, Venezia. So some pretty good books here. Right, end of books. Another gorge case. Wow, how many gorge cases are there? Withers, BAM case, viola case, 4-pack violin cases there. That's a few of those. Violin case branded Bram, cello case unbranded, Hiscox case, another Hiscox case, cello case branded TGI, cello case unbranded. Okay, let's have a look at this. One of these really old school wooden violin cases. Actually looks like a pretty nice one, so that's pretty cool. And I think that's it. We're finally at the end of this whole 2 day auction. So some pretty interesting stuff, to be fair. A lot of generic stuff, but a few interesting bits here and there. So definitely worth looking at if you get a chance. Check it out. So thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Feel free to add a comment, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So thanks a lot, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.